legit. Anything you want.
Stock market, dollar, housing and autos, economy and markets ready, set for the slaughter. The U.S. economy and markets have been prepped, and the deep state globalists are ready to kill them. Gold and silver sense it'll happen soon. It is common knowledge that about half of all Americans own any stocks. A stock market crash would certainly bring some pain. But would a stock market crash bring max pain? Not if the crash only affects half of the U.S. And so they need more. Much more. And that is exactly what the sheeple will feel, and the pain will be perfectly timed to usher in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. We're going to get max pain. The pain will be violent enough to slaughter most of the sheep. The rest of the sheep will beg for mercy. But all we will get is more pain. Housing values plummet. Auto industry collapses. Dollar starts its fall. The retail apocalypse will turn into the post-apocalyptic economy, which coincides with the end of America as we know it, the fall from international economic grace. By 2021, the sheeple will be stunned. Freedom and liberty will be stolen. Choices will need to be made. Escape won't be an option. There will be no rescue. Make America great again? We might not even make America again. But if we do, there will be pain for many generations to come. Entire industries and markets never recover. And that's my optimistic outlook. But you know what? Gold and silver sense that all of this is coming. That's why, over the last year, as the dollar has strengthened somewhat, gold and silver have held up. The decline in gold and silver over the last year represents the last hope-filled adrenaline rush, thinking that America is on the road to recovery. But as we can clearly see, sometime around mid-November, the adrenaline rush started wearing off. An adrenaline rush is like a caffeine rush, only the adrenaline rush is more extreme. When the adrenaline rush wears off, the person crashes. And what else has had an adrenaline rush? That's right, the U.S. stock market. Do I need to ask what happens when the adrenaline wears off? An adrenaline rush has a funny way of making a person feel invincible. When the adrenaline rush in the stock market turns into the inevitable crash, fear will return to the stock market with a vengeance. The yield on the 10-year note looks like it's forming a bear wedge on the daily chart, and it makes sense to see a bear wedge forming. Why? Because if I'm right about the stock market coming down, well, the brainwashed mainstream investment professionals, otherwise known as sheeple, will make a light to safety into U.S. bonds. A rush into bonds bids up the price of the bond, and because the bond price and interest rates move the inverse of each other, when there is a rush into bonds, interest rates drop. How low? I don't know. But that's not what is important. What is important is understanding that U.S. bonds are not truly a safe haven asset. It is true they once were a safe haven, but there are only two real safe havens in this world, gold and silver, and when investors realize the bonds are no good because the debt is no good, and the debt will ultimately be hyperinflated away, interest rates will begin surging higher. At that point, interest rates will surge in an H-crap, we've lost control of the market kind of way. Think about this dynamic, too. If I'm right about what's coming, stock market crash, increased fear, flight to safety, then gold and silver will remain bid in spite of the cartel's best intentions. You see, there has been a shift. A shift in what, you ask? A shift in the physical gold and silver market structure. Recall that after the metals began their declines in the second half of 2016, the talk over the next year and a half or so was all about capitulation. And capitulate the last gold and silver bulls did. Capitulation is another way of saying giving up, and when you have a capitulation, that means the last people who were holding on with nothing more than hope and a prayer, and certainly not holding on for sound, fundamental reasons, decide to hold on no longer. In the case of the remaining gold and silver bulls capitulating over the last several years, well, luckily for gold and silver investors in 2019, the buyers now outnumber the sellers. I hope this point is coming in clear. We can all come up with these fancy fundamental and technical reasons for why gold and silver are doing this, or why gold and silver are doing that, but in the end, it all really boils down to one basic question: are there more buyers than sellers, or are there more sellers than buyers? This is true of all markets. Such as the housing market, which is why you may have heard the term tease a seller's market, which is another way of saying there have been more buyers than sellers over the past several years, so home prices went up. The opposite has been true for precious metals investing, and there have been more sellers than buyers, and as such, it has been a buyer's market, and prices of gold and silver have gone down. But the shift is clear, and let me try to be as clear as possible. There are more buyers of gold and silver than there are sellers, and price will rise because of this fact. We've already spoken once about the US dollar, but let's now isolate it on the chart. My target was the 50-day moving average, and while there has been a breakout, I don't think this breakout has legs. Copper is working on its fourth down day in a row. In addition to the fundamental reason why I think the copper price will head higher, the cartel certainly wants to keep base metal mining operations, well, in operation. Because much of the just-in-time physical silver inventory comes to market as a byproduct of base metal mining such as copper mining. For myriad reasons, keeping up with what's going on with copper is important. Crude oil will need to make its move soon. I think we do make a move soon, and to the upside. Gold looks ready to break out at any moment. We pretty much backfilled the January 29th gap up too. Technical analysts would say that's important. Silver is showing strong support above $15.60. Better yet, does anybody see what I see going on with the blue and the red dotted lines? Yup. That's right. Golden cross, bullish. As is the ultimate gift that keeps on giving, we look like we're ready to roll over on the gold to silver ratio. Which is another way of saying that silver is set to outperform gold in terms of price. Palladium has stalled. I have been thinking one more surge before the pullback, but we might just end up getting a minor pullback here, with some additional consolidation. We'll see. Platinum is still bottom bouncing. Those who have deeper pockets and those who have less safe and secure storage space can take advantage of the gold to platinum arbitrage play much in the same way investors can take advantage of the gold to silver arbitrage play. So what is the bottom line as we find ourselves midweek, in the middle of February? The markets and the economy are prepped to bring the maximum amount of pain. Their plan is to inflict maximum pain on the greatest number of Americans. It is now only a matter of the deep state globalists executing the plan. When they execute their plan is closely guarded secret. I'm fine with having prepared my family ahead of time. Because without a direct line to the inside, there is no way to time the slaughter.